Good evening, witchy bitchies. Welcome to the video. Today, we're going to be talking about my TBR jar. And if you've seen a previous video where I play my TBR game, TBR jar is a tile on my board game, and if I land on it, I have to dig around in a little jar. I'll show you in a minute. She usually causes an avalanche because there's things hiding behind her. But inside the jar, there are lots and lots of little bits of paper with titles written on, and the titles are taken from my top shelf here. And on the shelf, there are books that I have owned for up to 30 years. There was one. One was, I think, I've had it since I was a small child. I think that was the oldest one, and I have now read that. It is now behind me on the I've read you pile. The shelf does have lots of books that I have owned for a very long time and haven't read, or it has books on it which I have bought in the last couple of years, but I need some motivation to actually read it. Probably because I find it intimidating, or it's a challenge, or it's a genre I'm not really used to, that sort of deal. So today, I'm going to go through every single book on this list. So bear with me, this could take a while. Perhaps get yourself a beverage. You will need your witch's brew for this. I have my witch's brew. I'll wait. No, it's fine, you go. I'll wait. So rude. You good now? Okay, let's go. I'm going to count them for you right now. I think, at a very speedy count, 66 books on this shelf. Let's get into them. This is the first stack of books, and I use this stack as kind of a bookend. And I haven't looked at these for a little while, and so I'm assuming I use them as a bookend because I'm embarrassed by them. Let's have a look. First up, and we will see this as a continuous theme of my TBR jar, I have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Suicide King. Now, I was a big Buffy fan, and that is reflected in the fact that I own several Buffy the Vampire Slayer books, which I have never read. I mean, this one's very, very small, and inside my TBR jar, I think I've written on a piece of paper any Buffy book, just to get through one of them. You will see soon that there is one that's much more intimidating than this one. But for now, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Suicide King. Stake Your Destiny. I know nothing about this. Is this a Pick Your Own Destiny book? Oh, the writing is huge. I could probably read this in an hour. Okay, it's not Pick Your Own Destiny. Oh, I just love Buffy. Maybe I'll do a little Buffy read. This is making me want to read this book. Next up, we have a book that I purchased when I was a university student studying English language, and I thought I liked classic literature. Ernest Hemingway, Winner Takes It All? Winner Takes Nothing. Am I thinking of ABBA? Ernest Hemingway performing The Winner Takes It All. It's so embarrassing. Winner takes nothing. The winner gets nothing in this. Okay, ABBA had it right. The winner takes everything. No, nothing. You get nothing with Ernest. That's his tagline. With Ernest, you get nothing. I'm just being earnest. Right, I need to stop. I'm done. I know nothing about this book. Oh, winner take nothing, not just winners. Okay. Hunters' Wives. Already don't like that. Old men of wisdom, waiters, fighters, women loved, women lost. They are all here, living on the raw edge, making love, facing the inevitable reality of death. God, that sounds dire. Next up, we have evidence of another phase I went through, where I thought that I liked crime thrillers. The fact that I even own this hurts my own feelings. I'm never going to read this. But we use the TBR jar for this exact reason. I think I'm going to combine it with a read it or unhaul it challenge, which Emily Fox does on Books with Emily Fox. She's the oracle of all things booktube. So I imagine that I will read the first chapter of this and unhaul it. But I think what drew me to it is the fact that it's called Poet, because I used to, and still do, love poetry. Every rhyme means death. It's quite chunky. Again, talking about classics, but I think this one actually sounds really good. I just think I'm intimidated by the fact that it's a classic and might be written quite dryly, or written, I don't know, I'm making assumptions, I'm making bold assumptions here. It might be written amazingly. You tell me. I know so many people that have read it, but Jonathan Swift, Gulliver's Travels. I know so many people that love this book, but again, never touched it. I love the design, I love the illustration, but I don't like this black and white classic cover. Not a fan of that. I really do think I would enjoy this. I just think I find it intimidating because it's a classic. Is it even, how old? Oh my god, the text is so small. You kidding me? Behave. What year did you come out? Sorry. Is this like, oh, how old is this? This edition was published in 2010. Well, I know it originally wasn't published in 2010. Why can you never give me a straight answer? Fine. It's probably old. I don't know. Avalanche! Next up, we have a book that I actually purchased, I think in 2022. And it was because I joined a writing mastery class. That is the website's name, Writing Mastery, after I completed NaNoWriMo and I wanted to edit my novel. And the writing tutor recommended this as a book because it had some very good descriptions in it, I think. So I was just hooked by the description and haven't ever read it because the cover is ugly. I could have read this from my ugly cover prompt. No, I'm so glad I read Garden Spells. It was amazing. This is The Bells by Donielle Clayton. And the cover is, I don't like people on the cover anyway. I don't like the dresses. That's why I didn't like Garden Spells, because it had the wedding dress, I think it was. Was it a wedding dress? Probably not a wedding dress, but the dresses, the flowers, it's not for me. It's giving romance novel, but I don't know that to be true. I don't know. Am I ever going to read it? The writing's quite well spaced out. It doesn't look terrible. We have The Winter Garden by Heidi Swain. And although I am not a romance girly, I love a festive romance. So I know I would love this. I just need to read it in December, basically. I think I've probably owned this for maybe 4 to 5 years. Next up is a two-parter. These two books are written by Jenny Colgan. I think she wrote, is it The Christmas Bookshop? And I loved it. And then she wrote a sequel called Midnight at the Christmas Bookshop, and it was okay. It wasn't very festive. So this is a duology. The first one is Meet Me at Cupcake Cafe. I know I'm not going to really enjoy this, but I have to read it if I want to read Christmas at the Cupcake Cafe, which I think I would enjoy. I do actually really like Jenny Colgan's writing style, so I know I would love this. I just have to read the non-festive romance to get to the festive romance. Last up in this section is another Christmas romance, and this is Christmas Magic by Kathy Kelly. Again, I know nothing about it. Lose yourself in a warm and wonderful collection of short stories from best-selling Irish storyteller Kathy Kelly. I just love anything festive. The cover's really pretty too. I don't think any of my Christmas books are in my TBR jar because I can't just read them in a random month. But I think that the Cupcake Cafe one is in my TBR jar because I need to get through that to get to the Christmas fun. Let's move on. Next up, we have 3 books that I have precariously placed atop my TBR pile, and that is because I have already tried reading them. So I have soft DNF'd them because whilst I didn't quite enjoy them at the time, I do have a feeling I will like them one day. So I haven't fully DNF'd and unhauled them. I've just placed them back on the pile, put them back in the jar, and I'll come back to them. And those books are Love and Other Thought Experiments by Sophie Ward. I was in my literary fiction era when I read this, and so I really thought I would enjoy it, but I mostly just didn't get it. It was weird, and not in a good weird. It was just confusing and a bit boring, I think. But I do like weird usually, and I think that Sophie's very creative with her writing and her plot and her style. So I do think I will really enjoy this when I'm in a better headspace for it. We will see what the TBR jar gods give me. Another soft DNF I had was Half the Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And I just don't particularly like historical fiction. And I think I discovered this halfway through reading this. I think I maybe got to 30 or 40% actually, and then DNF'd, soft DNF should I say. It's quite chunky, and the font is very small. See? But it's a tale of lives meshing together. It's based in 1960s Nigeria. It's got a lot of heavy war plot points in it, which I don't particularly like historical fiction. I don't particularly like stories about war, but I do think it would be a very powerful read for me to absorb. I would really like to read it, and I do enjoy her writing style. So it's just a case of the TBR Jar telling me to read it and me saying, okay, ma'am. Now, this one hurts my feelings. She Would Be King by Waitu Moore. I put this on my 2023 5-star prediction list. It is historical fiction, but it is about witches. So, I mean, the two go hand in hand, they kind of have to. And as you can see, I did get about 30% of the way through. I don't know if you can see my tabs. It was just very slow. That's my only complaint. I know that I'm going to love it. It was just a little slow starting. And I think that I was, okay, real talk. I think I was in that era where, you know, when you catch yourself reading just to finish a book. So I think in 2022, I actually signed up properly for Goodreads and started using it, and I set myself a goal, and I became a little bit obsessed with the goal in that I desperately wanted to read 30 books in 2022. Obviously now knowing the reading pace I have, 30 is easily doable for me in a year. I read 100 in 2023, I plan to read 75 this year. I think I got it into my head that I had to rush really quickly, and as we all know, that feeling of finishing a book is so good. I just wanted to create that feeling as often as possible. We were recently coming out of lockdown, and I think I just needed a little bit of serotonin. Okay? So a slow book was not the right choice for me. However, now that I'm a bit more chill, I think that it would be the right time to read it again. So I would love to pick it up this year. TBR Jar Gods willing. Next up we have 3 hardback books. I think that's the only, aside from a Buffy book, I think these might be the only hardback books on my TBR Jar list. First up, we have Best of Friends by Camilla Shamsi, and I have heard amazing things about this. This is prominent on all of Waterstone's shelves. It's at like the top list of every blog they ever do, so I know it will be good. It was the winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2018. I don't actually know anything about it, and that's on me. That's probably why I haven't been excited to read it. I think I should read the blurb. I think that I should go online and read a couple of non-spoiler reviews and get hyped up for it. I think I got it as part of a subscription in 2021 because I noticed there's some things poking out of it. Oh, cool. A matching bookmark. Wait, what? Are you a bookmark? What do you do? I don't understand why there's a hole in you. It looks like one of those things that you put on the door when, you know, right? You know what I'm saying? You hang it on the door when you're... Whoop. Whoop. Oh, it's really nice. It's got really nice end pages too. I hate when there's no blurb on the back. No offense, Alex Preston, but I don't actually care what you have to say. I want to know what the book is about. Sorry, Alex. I'm sure you're a really good person. So it's set in 1988. It's about friendship between 2 14-year-old girls. Oh, I didn't realise it was children. I thought it was adults. They share a love for George Michael. Who doesn't? Only a monster. Pakistan dictatorship. A woman comes to power? Wait, oh my god, I would love this. I'm such an idiot. Why do I not read the things that I have? Choose great books written by great women. I don't know why I haven't read this. I have quite literally no excuse. It sounds amazing. I think I'm saying for every book, maybe I'll read it this year. In reality, we're going to be having this exact same video in 2 years' time, and they will still be on the shelves, but it sounds good either way. Oh. I know I'm never going to read this. The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I know most people know about this. To everyone else in this carriage, I must look normal. I'm doing exactly what they do, commuting to work, making appointments, ticking things off lists. Just goes to show. So our main character, Rachel, she gets that same train every morning. She sounds like she's got a boring life. Okay. Jess and Jason. Who's Jess and Jason? Is it I? What does she see? I get this confused with the girl with the dragon tattoo. I'm pretty confident I'm never going to read it, but that's where the TBR Jar comes in. It will force me to at least read the first few chapters, and then I can DNF if I want to. Oh my god, this book is heavy. David Nichols' Sweet Sorrow. This is how I'm going to have to hold it. Hiya, pal. My grandma bought me this a couple of years ago. Maybe 2022, maybe 2021. Again, we've only got reviews on back. Oh, grandma's so cute. Love that. So I must have got it. Oh my god, I got it in 2020. I think it was a Christmas present though, so I don't really know. Thanks, Grandma. I will read it one day. It's poignant, funny, enchanting, devastating. It's a tragic comedy about the rocky path to adulthood and the confusion of family life, a celebration of the reviving power of friendship and that brief, searing explosion of first love that can only be looked at directly after it has burned out. I wish it was gay. Okay, we're on to the main chunk now. There are lots and lots of paperbacks here. So let's crack straight on. We have Home by Marilyn Robinson. The Pulitzer Prize winning author of Gilead? Am I pronouncing you correctly? One of the saddest books I have ever loved. Sarah, that is a bold statement. Winner of the Orange Prize 2009? How old are you? Oh, Gilead. It cost me £2.50. I remember buying this. I bought this in 2022, but I cannot remember what it is about. About an alcoholic named Jack. Coming back home. Again, I think I was in my literary fiction era. That sounds very lit ficky. It would probably be a beautiful read. I just have to commit. And I'm not very good at that. I have 2 books here by Denis Thiero. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I assume c'est français. Pause, please. I have read one of his books. I have read The Peculiar Life of a Lonely Postman, and I think I read it maybe in 2016, and I remember really enjoying it. I think The Postman's Fiancé, why am I holding them like this? This is so difficult. I assume The Postman's Fiancé is a sequel, and I don't know if this is related at all, but the covers are really pretty, the paper's great. I enjoyed his writing style, but I'm not the same person I was in 2015, by a long shot. That was 9 years ago. I don't know if I'm still going to like the same author, and what if I read these, hate them, and then rethink everything about the first book I read? I'm just not ready for an existential crisis, you know. I don't think this is mine. Maybe I got it from a book swap, actually. Almost fell over. This is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I've heard lots of things about the flat share, less about The Switch. I assume it's a romance. She'd like a second chance at love. Ooh, it is a life swap sort of book. That actually sounds really cute. And I keep saying, I'm not a romance girly. But then I loved Garden Spells. I loved that aspect of Emily Wilde's books. But if it was just a romance, I say just as in like the sole genre is romance, would I enjoy it? I'll probably give it a go at some point. When the TBR Jar tells me to, in 2029. Ooh, this would be such a good palate cleanser before I read Half the Yellow Sun. The Thing Around Your Neck, also by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I think I went on a phase. Excuse me, Kat. I think I listened to the video where she does her We Should All Be Feminist talk and then purchased pretty much every book she's ever written. And then didn't read any of them because I was intimidated. Happens. The cover's so pretty though. She's beautiful. Americana. Yes, because I also own Americana. Sorry. I hit the cat on my head with the book. The thing on your head. It's a book. Yeah, I also own Americana, and that was actually my TBR Jar pick for this month. So in February, I have to read that, or at least the first 3 chapters. Adichie turns a penetrating eye on the ties that bind men and women, parents and children, Nigeria and the West, on love and dislocation, violence and faith, and the moments of epiphany that illuminate the beauty and desperation of ordinary lives. Oh my god. Why haven't I read this? It sounds like it's going to be literary fiction in the way Open Water was literary fiction. I feel like I'm going to be crushed and comforted all at once. So that actually sounds so good. I see now why I purchased it. I missed this from before. This was supposed to be my other books, my soft DNFs, because last year I tried to read Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. This is a really nice texture. A cozy fantasy steeped with love. My bookmark is still here. I got this far through. Super cute bookmark. Yeah. I remember really loving the character Kian's. I can't even remember why I soft DNF'd it, to be honest. Next up we have Chasing Humanity by Lady Langley. Lady Langley is somebody that I follow on BookTok, and I bought the book to support her and have just never got around to reading it. Classic. But I believe this is about vampires. It's really sweet. On the back, there is a quote and it says, "It's a wonderful book. It has everything. Love, hate, sadness, joy. It can also break your heart. A must read. My grandma." That is so sweet. 5 brothers met on a wooded plain. Uncorrected book proof not for sale? I mean, I purchased you. It also says it's a hardback. Beg to differ, sir. Beg to differ. That is not a hardback, is it, Milo? You can't see him, but I can. 5 Rivers Met on a Wooded Plain by Barney Norris. The peace is shattered by a serious car crash. At that moment, the lives of 5 people collide: a flower seller, a schoolboy, an army wife, a security guard, a widower, all facing their own personal disasters. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Let us move on. When I do videos like this, I discover cool things, like the fact that I own this book called Us, also by David Nichols. David Nichols, who wrote Sweet Sorrow, which is also on my TBR Jar shelf. So I obviously went through a period of thinking, hey, this guy is a good writer. I remember purchasing this because at my first real big grown-up adult job back in 2014, a company used to come into our office building and leave loads of books out for us to purchase, and we got them for I think half price. And I remember buying this. It was longlisted for the main Booker Prize in 2014, so that will track. I have no idea what it's about. Husband and wife, marriage seems over. He wants to win her back for the sake of their teenage son. He organises a holiday of a lifetime. He's booked the hotels, bought the train tickets, planned and printed the itinerary for a grand tour of the great art galleries of Europe. What could possibly go wrong? It does not sound like something I would enjoy. But that's why we have the TBR jar. I picked up at some point in my life thinking, hey, this sounds good. So, past yes, prove it. Ooh, I really want to read this. Next up, we have Brida by Paulo Coelho. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correct. Paulo wrote The Alchemist, which I read in 2022, one of those. I did quite enjoy that, actually. I don't think I found it as profound as others have found it. Maybe I just wasn't in the right place for reading it. Maybe it would have hit me better if I was in a different stage in my life, but I did enjoy it. It just wasn't exactly what I'd hoped it was going to be. And this book is about Brida's quest for knowledge. She meets a wise man who teaches her about overcoming her fears, a woman who teaches her how to dance to the hidden music of the world. They see in her a gift, but must let her make her own voyage of discovery. So it sounds a little bit similar to The Alchemist in that we're taking a journey of discovery, a journey of knowledge, of wisdom, but it's about Brida, a young Irish girl. So also back in 2014, I took a trip to the coast near where I live, and there is a bookstore there that sells secondhand books, and I purchased Rose Madder by Stephen King. I read it so quickly. It was the first book I'd read in a massive reading burnout from university, and I loved it. Deeply fell in love with it. I won't be rereading it ever because I don't want to ruin that love that I have for it, so I don't want to reread it and then be more critical now that I've read more books. I'm just going to accept that I loved it back then, and so it's one of my faves. But what that sparked was a mild obsession with Stephen King, where I bought as many novels as I could find secondhand and then never read any of them. I mean, that's not strictly true. I read Pet Sematary, but I loved Pet Sematary, the film. The book's great. So that was easy for me. So my next two books I purchased probably around 2015 and then didn't read them because they just looked cool on the shelf and I wasn't that interested, you know? Classic Jess. So we've got Duma Key by Stephen King. Duma Key is an island and a man goes there to escape, and the island is creepy AF. It actually does sound quite interesting now I'm reading it, but look at the size of it. So if the TBR jar wants me to read this, willingly. Oh my god, it's even bigger. We have The Stand, but also by Stephen King. That is redonkulous. Is that bigger than Day of Fallen Night? Oh my god. It's like 1.25 Day of Fallen Nights. This is 1,300 pages long. If the TBR jar picks this for me, I might cry. I don't even think it's horror, is it? I think it's crime. An epic thriller from the 90s? Why did I read 90s? An epic thriller from the #1 best-selling writer. I mean, Lee Child reviewed it on the front cover, so that says all I probably need to know. Okay, no, it sounds a little bit horror-y. I still don't think it needs to be 1,300 pages long, but I guess if the TBR picks it, we shall see. The Christmas Cafe by Amanda Prowse. I didn't even know that I owned this. I do like it when my Christmas romances have an older main character. Oh, it sounds good to me. It's romance. It's a little cafe in Edinburgh. There's a cat in the window. Can I please show you? Oh, there's on the cover. There's a cat in the window of the cafe. Someone starting a new life. I would love that, to be honest. So might read that in December, we shall see. Next up we have two books that my uncle lent me, and he lent them to me towards the end of last year. So we've only had these for a couple of months on the shelf, but I have so many others that I have bought myself and am desperate to read that they have fallen into the TBR jar. But I have heard very good things about this one, I think. So first up is Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. This was shortlisted for the Women's Fiction Prize 2022. Also shortlisted for the 2021 Booker Prize. I have heard good things about that one, so I will give it a read at some point. The shorter of the two is Exit West by Moshid Hamid, and I almost used this for my yellow cover prompt for February, but I think I'd be pushing my luck, because I think we can probably say that is orange. In a city gripped by war, Nadia and Saeed are newly in love. Hardly more than strangers, desperate to survive, they open a door and step through. But the doors only go one way. Once you leave, there is no going back. It sounds really good. Shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize 2017, Sunday Times bestseller. It's not very long, so it's not intimidating really, and I ought to read it. Next up, we have a book that my grandma bought for me. Again, grandma, the best. We have The Truants by Katie Weinberg, and I'm pretty sure this is set in Norfolk. I could be making that up. I have a feeling this is set in the county that I live in. The main character is called Jess, so I can see why my grandma gave this to me, because the author studied creative writing at the University of East Anglia. That is my local university. So I think it is a little tragedy, a little thrillery, which isn't usually what I go for, but I have just realised this is also a yellow cover, so I could have picked this for February, but we move. It does look quite interesting. It's not particularly the genre I would choose, but my grandma is very, very good at picking books that I would enjoy. She has like 100% success rate, so we will pick you up one day. Next up, we have The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman. I believe this is the third book in his Dark Materials trilogy, which I read. I read the first and the second book in 2022, maybe 2021. I think 2021. I want to read this and then watch all of the BBC show that they did. I feel like most people should know what this is about, and if you don't, please Google it. What do you think I'm here for? To do book reviews or something? Please. Sorry, I'm so useless. Sorry, I'm not even halfway through yet. Gasp. Have you hydrated recently? Next up we have another big boy, shorter than The Stand, I think, and another Buffy. So I would love to read this, I really would. It's just freaking huge. I think there's pictures in the middle. Gasp. Oh my goodness. Look at it. That's so cute. So this is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I can't even hold up show because it's too big. The first evil omnibus. So it's obviously more than one story, and it looks like it's more recent than the Suicide King looked like it was quite early on in the series. But I feel like this is maybe either after this TV series ended or right near the end, because just judging by the photos on the front, it looks more recent. I say more recent, but it is from 2003. That is crazy. Okay, on to the next section, next chunk, if you will. I have read this, I swear. This is so dusty. The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. I think I put this back on my shelf because I want to reread it before the film comes out. Because I have definitely read this. My partner bought me this for my birthday in 2022, I would say. And I think I read it in 2023. A very interesting read. I'm really excited to watch the film. Is it a film or a series? But I wanted to reread it before I watched the film. That seems very unlikely for me, considering I reread nothing. But I did want to. I had high hopes, that's why it's on the shelf. Next up we have Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Again, I think that my grandma gave me this for a birthday a couple of years ago. I think what freaked me out is that within the first few words it says 1596, and if I see a date at the start of a blurb, I panic and I'm like, no, I cannot do historical fiction, please. I'm not clever enough. But I've heard such good things. My friend Jazz, hi Jazz. I'm not going to speak about you in this video again. My friend has read The Marriage Portrait and loved it last year, so I do have high hopes for this. I don't think I've heard anything bad about it, so I really just need to buck my ideas up and bloody read it. Next up we have a man called Ove. I've read this. Am I getting this confused with something else? Oh, I'm getting it confused with Tin Man. I haven't read this, by Frederick Backman. Again, I've heard really good things about this. I'm not sure it's my particular genre that I would enjoy, but I would like the idea of reading it. So when the TBR Jar says it's time, I will pick it up. I didn't know I owned this. The Wild Girl by Kate Forsyth. The Brothers Grimm left one tale untold. Once upon a time there were 6 sisters. The pretty one, the musical one, the clever one, the helpful one, the young one, and then there was the wild one. Hey, I heard you were a wild one. I just found a little piece of paper inside which said I got it from the Willoughby Book Club. I think I was signed up to a subscription for 3 months as a gift, so I think I may have got this in 2020, but I stuck it on my shelf, moved it house to house and forgot I owned it. And it sounds really interesting. I would love to read this. So I look forward to the TBR Jar spitting that one out. Next up we have The Sea by John Banville. I know nothing about this. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know who gave it to me, when I bought it, what year I've had it since, or what it's about. Oh, the writing looks nice. Suddenly, I am thinking of her hair. The long, dark, lustrous coil of it falling away from her forehead in a sideward sweep. Even in her middle age, there was hardly a strand of grey in it. We were driving home from the hospital one day, when she lifted a lanthorn from her shoulder and held it close to her eyes. Is there a bird called a bandicoot? A baldicoot? There is a bandicoot, but I don't think it's a bird. Why? Apparently I should be as bald as a coot in a month or 2. I just read a paragraph and someone dies. Spoiler alert, John! Next up we have Ham on Rye by Charles Bukowski. I went through a Charles Bukowski phase in university. I think I just loved his poetry. I don't think I've ever read any of his prose. It was first published in 1982. I thought it was much older. Most autobiographical and moving of all his works. Ooh, I like the sound of that. A long and successful career in alcoholism. Great. I feel less excited by it now. Also, the cover sucks. Hey, how did you get in here? Christmas book? Wait, did I just read this? Hey, I read A White Christmas on Winter Street. That was by Sue Moorcroft. I did not know I owned this. Otherwise, I would have read this in December rather than paying for the audiobook. Little Village Christmas. I really enjoyed The White Christmas on Winter Street, so I imagine that I will love this just the same. Definitely going to read that in December. If I remember it being here, can you just message me in December and just say Sue? If somebody does that, that would be amazing. I would have no idea what you're talking about. Why does this look so blurry? Who printed this? This is The Long Earth by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. It starts straight away by saying 1916. That's why I haven't read you. Don't do that. I have always wanted to read something by Terry Pratchett though, and never have. I don't know whether this is the best way to start, so if you've read this before, or if you've read any other Terry Pratchett's, please let me know where I should start, because I did try reading the first book in the Discworld series. I did enjoy it, but I think I was staying in an Airbnb, so it wasn't mine to take. So I think I maybe read the first quarter and then left it there. But let me know whether I should pick this up. I feel less excited about reading this, if I'm honest. If things have all of a sudden shuffled around slightly, it's because my phone just stopped recording and it was like, your storage is full, deal with it. And I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to delete anything. Just let me have 7 million videos and 8,000 photos. I will not pay any more for iCloud storage. Back off. But anyway, I believe my grandma purchased this for me, and I know nothing about it. I read the blurb just now whilst waiting for my phone to send stupid videos to my stupid laptop so that it would have some stupid space. And I don't understand what I'm reading, but it sounds really interesting. I can't deduce much from the blurb, other than, does she turn into the painting? She moves from servant to student and muse. Then she covers her head in blue and yellow cloth and wears a pearl earring for a morning. The result is explosive. I'm so intrigued. This is going quite high up on my list of hopefuls when I hit that TBR Jar tile. If you know anything about this or if you've read this, please do drop some comments down below because my interest is piqued. Back to the shelf you go. Again, we have an enigma. If You Find Me by Emily Murdoch. What happens in the woods stays in the woods. This cover is amazing, by the way. Love that. Carrie is keeping a terrible secret. If she tells, it could destroy her future. If she doesn't, will she ever be free? Oh, she lives in the woods. Why does it sound really familiar? Survival is Carrie's only priority until strangers arrive and everything changes. A beautiful book about survival, identity, family, love, and so much more. I'm like 60% interested in reading this. I don't know where it came from. I think it's been on my shelves for years and I've just never picked it up because, I mean, it's not small. I mean, it's 310 pages, so it's probably what most people would call average. But I like short and snappy. I just love a good floppy book. I bought this book last year. This is Escape and Control by Steve Hollyman. Anyway, I bought it last year and I put it pretty much straight on my TBR jar list because I knew I didn't want to get to it. And I'll tell you for why. First of all, 10 out of 10 for the flop. I mean, 10 out of 10 for the cover. The cover's great. And the premise is quite interesting. I think it's all based around a metaverse. I'm pretty sure the author created a Facebook page and got fans and friends and family to comment on things and then added that into the story. So, very interesting premise. But I'm not overly interested in reading it. I think it is sort of crime. I went to a crime talk at my local Waterstones, and I went there because Mr. Steve Hollyman was talking with Eliza Clark. Now, Eliza Clark, we're a big fan. Eliza Clark wrote Boy Parts, which I rated 4.5 stars, absolutely loved it. And she was in Waterstones talking about, I'm pretty sure that's it. Either way, it's penance And that is also kind of a crime sort of thriller book, I think, which I haven't read yet, but that's what I went there for. I went there first of all on the sheer chance that she might mention boy parts, and second of all because I was interested to read Penance and get it signed. I just love her and I think she's amazing. But the thing is, I am both an anxious and a empathetic person, and I was so worried that if I bought Penance and spoke to Eliza Clark whilst Mr. Steve Hollyman sat next to her, he would be hurt. And so I bought this because I felt bad. And the only way I'm going to read this is if the TBR jar tells me to. Baby, this is the good one. Little Friend by Donna Tartt. I would really like to read this sometime soon. I got it from a book swap at the end of my road where I used to live. I moved last year. They did a book swap and I was going to tell you how a book swap works. You go, you take a book, you swap it, and you take a book away? Anyway, how embarrassing. I think I took Exciting Times, which since then I've then heard really good things about, but we move. So I got this for free, technically for free, I guess, last year. And I really want to read it, but I don't know. Please tell me, if you have read any of Donna Tartt's books, which one do I read first? Because whilst I do own this, I also have 30th year editions, I think, of The Secret History and The Goldfinch. Which one do I read first? The Secret History makes me slightly nervous because I don't know if I'm a dark academia girly. Not for want of trying. I would love to be a dark academia girly. I just don't think I fit the bill. I hated Babel. And what's the other really popular dark academia-y one? Whatever it was, I didn't like it either. Oh, flipping the Atlas 6. You can get fluffed. So I don't know which one to read first. I think probably The Goldfinch. I think The Goldfinch is most likely the one I'm going to enjoy most. I am so excited about this one, but I can't read it yet. So if I get it from the TBR jar, it's a double whammy. I am so excited to read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. But the problem is, this right here is Ruin and Rising, and I need to read that first before I can read these. So is this the first or second book? It's the first, right? So if I do pick this up in the month, I will need to read Ruin and Rising first, and then this. I have heard very good things about Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko. I think this is also a little bit dark academia-y, but it's got a bit more magic, adventure, mystery. I did start reading it. There's still a bookmark in there. Well, there's not anymore. I got to page 60, and I'm going to close it because I'll start again anyway, so it's fine that you fell on the floor. It doesn't even matter. I can't even tell you why I didn't continue reading it, because I am interested to see where it goes. So would love to pick this one up, please, TBR jar. This one I have read before at university when I was doing my dissertation on it, but it's a doozy, and I've put it in my TBR jar. I'm pretty sure I wrote the title, and then in brackets, I'm sorry. It's The Odyssey by Homer, and I would love to reread it, but it's quite an intense read to get through in a month alongside other reads. But I don't remember much from university because it was just a depressing, horrible time. So I think any book I read in university, I would like to read again and give it my full attention when I am slightly more stable. Emphasis on the slightly. Stardust by Neil Gaiman. First up, this is a small book. There is no reason why I haven't already read this. I have owned it for a lot of years. I definitely remember packing it away after university. So I've owned it for more than 10 years. I would love to pick this up soon. Please, here she is, the OG bad bitch. It is the Queen of the Slayers. Sunnydale was only the warm-up. I am titillated. Oh, with the closing of the Hellmouth. So this happens after the TV series, obviously, because it says Sunnydale was only the warm-up. Ooh, yeah, Nancy Holder. I want to read this. There is a photo in here. I have no idea who this is. I can't tell if this is my mum or my auntie. I must be related to them because I know the park they're in. That makes me wonder whether this was bought for me. I think I need to re-enter my Buffy era. I've just bought a Buffy t-shirt and I should be wearing it right now. Look out for it in an upcoming video. I'll wear it soon. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog where I go through one of these. That would be fun, and I'll wear my Buffy t-shirt and maybe I'll rewatch some of the episodes. Okay, might pick out my favourite episodes and rewatch. That's a fun idea. I think I remember buying this too. Big Ray by Michael Kimball. I'm pretty sure he wrote something else that I read and enjoyed. I never felt like my father's friend. Sometimes I didn't even feel like his son. Damn, that's sad. I've also owned this for over 10 years because I seem to remember buying it. Intrigue. we're down to our last little stack. We're down to the ones that I've used as a bookend again. So they're ones that I either don't particularly want on show or are ugly. First up we have The Metaphysical Poets, introduced and edited by Helen Gardner. Her name sounds very familiar. 45p, United Kingdom 45p. When is this from? This looks so old. Oh, it's poetry. So, oh, it's signed. Sorry, I'm having a lot of emotions right now. This is in the wrong section though, because I have a whole poetry section. Straight up, no recollection of ever buying this. I do remember why I have the next few in my stack. So next up we have The Search by C.P. Snow. Now I signed up to a subscription service, which tends to always be my downfall, talking to you Illumicrate, and it sent you a little chocolate bar of some locally made chocolate, and it sent you a flavoured tea bag and a vintage book. I haven't read any of them because I don't like old stuff. Great sentence. No notes, that'll do. A man writing about the play of power. I don't want to read this. In the same subscription, I also got Cider with Rosie by Laurie Lee. And first up, this is a lovely cover. That is beautiful. This poet, whose prose is quick and bright as a snake, a gay, impatient... Gay? Is it gay? Because I'll read it if it's gay. I don't think you mean that kind of gay. Prose poem that flashes and winks like a prism. Look. Honestly, you had me at gay. Again with that subscription, I got Howard's End by E.M. Forster. I've actually heard about this before. It was sold for 30p. That's cute. Not for sale in the USA. Why? What have you got against the USA? Anyway, unlikely to willingly pick that up. Last one from that subscription. Oh wait, no, I actually purchased this myself. And there's a bumblebee drawn on the front. Did I deface with a bumblebee? Anyway, it's The Prelude by William Wordsworth. Oh my gosh. This is annotated! Oh, that's so cool. Again, this is in the wrong place because this is not my poetry pile. All books available in limp edition. Limp edition? Is that something I don't... It's pretty sturdy to me. I don't... Oh. Also available in cloth edition. Is limp a material? Je ne sais quoi. Next up we have one that I know I'm going to deeply enjoy, but because I'm not a romance girly, as I've said before, I'm scared. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. The things I have heard about this book astound me. I know I'm going to love it. It's going to be a 4 or 5 stars. I just need to do it. I think I need to take it on holiday somewhere. I want to wait for summer and read it and rejoice in the romance. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about because you should know by now. And if you don't, you're not doing your research. Get away from here. Go do your research. I don't tell you what book's about. I don't know myself. I don't know why it's still on my shelf. I bought it a year ago. I don't know. Next up, we have a car boot find. And I don't often find That's a Lie. I also found Six of Crows at a car boot. £1? Forgot to mention that at the time. That was a steal. But what I was going to say was, I don't usually find anything good. But I did find The Virgin Suicides by, I can never pronounce this guy's last name, Jeffrey Eugenides. That's how my brain wants to pronounce it. If it's wrong, I'm so sorry. And I was really excited to read this because, again, I found it at the car boot for £1. But around the same time, my friend Blair read it and they didn't like it. And so now I'm thinking maybe I won't like it. Because I'm so easily influenced. I know it's a classic, or a modern classic, I guess. Oh, it literally says modern classic. Okay. I can do my job so well. I would like to read it at some point to say that I have, to tick it off the list. It's probably on Rory Gilmore's list. Is it on Rory Gilmore's list? Bear with, please. The Virgin Suicides. Oh, it's on Rory Gilmore's list, which makes me more inclined to read it. TBR Jar, if you could please, thank you. We're down to the penultimate book, and another steal. I picked this up on a charity table, so you pop £1 in and you donate to charity. All the Light We Cannot See. Who wrote this? Anthony Doerr. Doerr? Doerr. Anthony Doerr, I'm going to go with. I mean, chunky. My grandma also read this last year, and as I have said countless times in this video, we trust her opinion with pretty much everything, but also books. And she really enjoyed it, although it is... I'm not sure you need to be that big. That's what she said. Is it the film or the TV series that comes out soon or is already out? I don't know. I would like to read it before I watch that, so would quite like to get to this soon. Excuse me. Adverts. Anyway, last but not least, we have a classic that I would actually really like to read, and that is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I really would like to read this. I don't actually know much what it's about. I think I read the first couple of pages. I would like to read it sometime soon. I'm not willingly going to pick it up though, so in the TBR jar we trust. And that is everything from my TBR jar. I think it equates to just under 70 books. And I don't land on the TBR jar tile, try saying that quickly, very often. So I don't know how quickly I'm going to get through these books. And the likelihood is some of these books from my TBR that I want to read soon may get relegated. Relegated, is that the word? Sounds like a football term. To the TBR jar. That happens quite often. I think I moved Six of Crows up there because I knew I needed to read Rune and Rising first. So the chances are the list will grow. But as long as we're reading, we're winning. To make room for some new books that I've purchased as part of my horror book haul, I've had to add the following books to my TBR jar. These two, these two, these two. I'm actually really excited to read M.R. James's Collected Ghost Stories. Also these two, and lastly this one, which I am actually really excited to read. It's an author that I follow on BookTok and I think it's going to be amazing. So TBR jar, if you can hear me up there, be kind to me. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any recommendations or if there's anything on this list that you think I should bring down to my TBR shelf, let me know. Give me some recs. If there's anything here that you loved, you rated 5 stars, please let me know and I will bump it up and I'll read it in 4 years rather than 7 years. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.